Hey, so today I was going through and kind of unpacking in my art shed, my art studio room, where I paint and I draw and I do screen printing and all that kind of art stuff, non-tattoo art stuff. I also rebuild tattoo machines and keep a lot of my stored artwork in here. So I'm in here today and I started going through some stuff and I came across a whole lot of tattoo flash. Now, let me set the stage for you. I've been collecting flash sheets, flash sets, just about since I started tattooing. The first shop I worked at as a tattoo artist had the largest tattoo flash collection in the Pacific Northwest in the shop. And it got me started on this kind of long path of collecting the stuff. The owner there would always buy flash, order flash. You know, he had a lot of friends who were very good artists. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the culture around artwork, flash versus custom, that kind of stuff, from around the time I started getting into the tattoo industry, which would be in the 90s. I think I got my first tattoo, professional tattoo, in 92, 91 or 92. No, wait, I gotta do math now. No, it would be 1990, 90 or 91. I was 17 and I went to the local kind of biker shop because I lived in bumfuck nowhere, and it was literally every wall was covered in flash. It was just how a tattoo shop was. Every wall was covered in hundreds or thousands of images, drawings by different artists, and you would walk in and look over all of these possibilities. And it was expected, kind of, that you walked in with almost no idea of what you were going to get tattooed on you that day. You just wanted a tattoo. And you would pick something, and they would tattoo you. And the first shop I worked at later was similar. It was, the walls were covered, there were racks. I have some racks. I might do another video or another live and show you the racks that I have that are full of my favorite flash over the years. But so this is mid-90s now, and every tattoo shop is still full of flash, but flash was changing. And I'm going to show you some examples of kind of the shift in the artwork that was being passed around and sold and reproduced as tattoos during that time. Everybody, I can't do guests because I can't keep up, but stick with me on this. So I have a lot of flash from like the 20s and 30s that I keep archivally, you know, stored. They're inside acid-free, intersheets, interleaving, inside boxes in my house in a controlled climate environment. I'm not going to show you any of the really good, cool, old-school flash today. Like, nothing life-changing is happening here today. This is stuff from when I started to get tattooed until and through my tattoo career. So from about 1991, 92, up until more recent years. Just going through the boxes I had in here, I just pulled out some things to show you guys. Now this is Apache Jill. She is a tattoo artist. I think she started in the late 70s, early 80s, and she's been tattooing forever. This is a sheet of her flash, very simple to show you, and it's from 1991. So this was about the year, and you can see this is how I store the flash that I was using, the flash that I would use. I would make my own copy of it so that the original wouldn't get destroyed, and I'll show you some of those too. But I would make a copy of it on an 11 by 17 sheet of paper, laminate it, slice it, and put it in the rack. And I did this universally so that the original copy I bought, they're all archival, they're all stored in, you know, storage boxes. But these copies would go in my rack and be exposed to people, manhandling them, thumbing through them, flipping racks, the sunlight hitting them, all that stuff. and pulling them in and out to tattoo film. So this is a sheet that's laminated. It's from 1991. National Tattoo Company, which is they're now out of business. They finally retired, but they were open throughout my entire career. They would sell flash sets, and this was from a flash set that she drew in 1991. And as you can see, it's pretty simple stuff. It can be reproduced by anybody. When you buy flash in a set or as a sheet sold as flash, what you're buying is not just the image. You're buying the rights to reproduce it as a tattoo. So because I purchased this from National at the time, I have the rights to make a tattoo of any of these. And the only thing on this sheet that I've ever actually tattooed is this little castle right here. And I really like this little castle. It's the simplest possible perspective design for that image. I mean, yeah, there's like a cool wizard and like a dragon and stuff, but you know, with these, most of these old sheets, they would have a banger on them. Like, everybody would want that one tattoo on that sheet. And everything else on the sheet, well, that one banger kind of carried the sheet. Now, the way flash is sold, or should be sold, or used to be sold, is very... I don't have two that match here, but I'll show you this. This is Jeannie Newby. Jeannie is, I think she's in Redding, California now, but this is from 2008. I have a lot of her flash because I was close friends with her. Well, not close friends with her, but like acquaintances, colleagues with her for a long time. She's local here in the Northwest and is a very good tattoo artist. And so I always liked buying her flash. But this set, you can see it's colored in, right? So as a tattoo artist in a shop at the time, you would want to be able to apply this quickly. Someone comes in and points at that on the wall, you want to be able to just take this, get a stencil, make the tattoo, be done, right? You're looking at this as a reference, but for a stencil, you can't have all this color. You need line work. So when you are selling, or I used to sell my flash sets, it would be the colored in finished sheet, a copy of that, and then a copy of the line work. So when you want to get your stencil, you want to do one of these tattoos, you would look up whatever classification system you had for your racks. Say this was number 30 or something, sheet 30. You would go to your file cabinet and pull out folder for 30, and there would be the line work that matched, and you would just pick the tattoo that they had picked. This came out in 2008, so I've never done any of this flash. It was past the point in time when people would just pick something this big off the wall. So my partner's out there rebuilding a gate. So if you hear banging outside, that's what's going on. But these line sheets were just included in your folder full of flash. Basically, when you would make flash, when I would draw flash, or anybody would, you would do a painting, an 11 by 14 painting of the tattoos, and then you would, before you colored it in, you would make a photocopy of this. And this would be tucked into the manila envelope right along with the 10 sheets that made up a set of flash. You know, so here's another piece from, this is 2008, this is Todd J. from Imperial Tattoos. Another, too late, rode the wave too late. By 2008, nobody wanted to get, like, this is like a half sleeve. Who picks out a half sleeve off the wall in 2008? Nobody would. It's gorgeous, it's nice, and I would have loved to do it, but, you know, we're in a different time period. In the 90s and the early 2000s, even then it was really hard to sell a big, cool piece off the wall. People wanted little stuff. You know, pork chop. Things they could just pick and stick, right? So, I'm just going to put it here. So, I want to get into, like, varieties of flash now. We've got all kinds of categories here. My own personal categories for flash. And I'm just going to walk you through some of those. You've got, first of all, now these are all 90s designs, this pile here. You've got the things that you do every damn day. Every freaking day. somebody is going to pick one of these things. And you know these pieces, you know these drawings, these flash pieces, you can do them in your sleep. Sometimes you have dreams about them. I bet there's like 10 or 12 things in here I could sit down and tattoo right now with no stencil and it would look exactly like it does here, because I did it so many times. Muscle memory kind of takes over. This is from 97. This is a Rand Johnson piece. He just recently died. Cherry Creek was the company for him, and I swear every sheet they made had at least 2 or 3 zappers on it. Something, people would just walk in and they would gravitate to these tattoos. So this is the kind of stuff, 1997 again. You want your barbed wire armband. There's 2 on here that are decent. There's these 2, the top and bottom. I must have done these thousands of times. This is one of the sheets. See, this is why I would make a copy to use and keep the original hidden, because sun damage from being on a wall, you can see almost all these lines have gone. And at one point, now this is a 97 sheet too, but at one point, I think about 1999 or 2000, I had like a moment of dedication, and I sat down and I relined 1 million of these copies. I don't know why I did it. I could have just made a new copy from the original, but I relined some of these. You can see me starting to do that down here. But you can see how faded that is from the sun exposure. That's another Cherry Creek sheet. And again, barbed wire, this tribal barbed wire right here. 1 million people wanted it. It was a fad, I don't know. It was a trend. The simplest possible roses to tattoo. You need those on the wall. And then, of course, your biker stuff. Because at the time, it wasn't like, judges and grandmas and, TV stars and shit were coming in. It was subcultures. Subculture people were getting tattooed heavily and often and collecting. And that was who we catered to. That was who, if you saw someone with heavy tattoos or even more than 1 or 2 tattoos, you knew that they were an outgroup. You knew they were part of a subculture, some subculture. And for a very long time, the 90s especially, 80s and 90s especially, maybe even the 70s, bikers were one of the biggest subcultures getting tattooed. So here we have our, American flag, Harley, our eagles ripping through your flesh with blood. That one's so cool. It's just an eagle ripping holes in your skin. I don't know why that's so cool to me still this day, but I like that stuff. And then, of course, you've got, the wave of cultural appropriation in tattooing, which started in, I don't know, maybe the 40s, 30s and 40s, World War II era with Sailor Jerry and all of the kind of cross-cultural stuff. That wave never ended. It's kind of petering out now, but it was a standard, a staple of tattoo culture for a very long time. And part of the reason for that is that, again, tattoo collectors and tattoo artists were a subculture, and this subculture was global. Unless you were isolated, getting very traditional, maybe Inuit tattoos, some culture that was more isolated. If you had any contact with people outside your own country and you were a tattoo artist, you would send letters back and forth, art. So for a long time, that kind of stuff was not so much appropriation as trades. I will send you all of these, American biker drawings, and you will send me all of the, Samoan leg sleeve drawings, and somebody else will send you all of the Japanese koi fish drawings, and it's like this exchange that was going for a very long time in tattooing. Now, into the 90s, you get into appropriation, where it became, the joke tattoo. I mean, I've done millions of these. In the 90s and early 2000s, this was just like, I don't even know if these are accurate. How the hell would I know? I don't read this language. I can't read these letters. And we would always warn people, I don't know if this is real. I don't know what this says. Please do your own research, but we have them on the wall. If you want kanji, you can get them. And, I was just starting professionally tattooing in the late 90s, and this was the big trend, one of the big trends. And people would joke that my name was, that this was Angie with a K, you know, kanji. My name is just Angie, not Angie, but yeah, it's a joke. It's just a pun. Because I did so much of this because I was new. And when you're new at tattooing, especially back then, all you got to do was the small, simple stuff. Smallest, simplest stuff ever. So yeah, those were really, really common back then. The other big trend, which I really enjoyed actually, and I still would like to keep doing, I wish that this trend had not ever died or been mocked or anything because multiple reasons, but is the tribal lower back piece. Ass antlers. You know, ass antlers. They're gorgeous. They have a V shape, they make your hips look big and your waist look small. Very simple. These are pretty easy ones as far as application goes. And this is a Lou Jacques tribal set, which means this is from probably 96 through 98, this set. And really they were just, the only hard thing about these was if they were drawn with these long curving lines that had to be perfect and symmetrical. Anytime you see those lines broken up in a tattoo, like this one, they're a lot shorter, they're broken up. That's to make it easier on the tattoo artist to apply the tattoo, because doing this on a very stretchy area while someone's sitting in a stool hunched over twitching, really hard. Doing a shorter line and then a shorter line, much easier. So some of these, you'll see the evolution of these over the years. They became much more well drawn for application. But the overall shape, that V shape with the little antlers, you know, right above the butt crack, beautiful stuff. I love doing those. For some reason, every single one of them took me an hour and a half to do. I don't know why that was the case, but that's how it was. And I drew a lot of them. I actually had 2 or 3 flash sets that I drew that were just lower back pieces. And these are, you know, within tattooing we would call these tribal lower back pieces. You know, it says on it tribal set. It's from the 90s. There is no tribe these are associated with. They're lower back pieces. They're not, none of this is like from any tribe. And so yes, the mockery of that part of it, tribal tattoos in general, makes sense. But the design element of having abstract black shapes follow the flow of the body is really valid. And I see these today, and if they were done well, they still hold up. I think they still look good. Then we've got, you know, this is like my favorite sheet in the world. This is a Cherry Creek sheet. I'm live on TikTok talking about Flash. Now he don't want to join in? He wants to fix the gate. Our gate's busted. Oh, my favorite sheet. This is a Cherry Creek sheet. This sad tiger right here. This guy. I've done this tattoo so many times. I love this tattoo. Of course, this is sun faded. Again, this is my copy that was out in the sun on the wall for people to look at. And it's got some coffee stains and manhandling. But this tiger, I must have done him hundreds of times. Either with the tribal stuff or with bamboo around him, but always this tiger. I don't know. He's the banger on the sheet. The rest of this, it's him that sold this sheet. And then we have more examples of that kind of. These were armbands. These were just like the straight line, cut your arm in half kind of straight line bands. This is a Martin B sheet, and it's I think early 2000s, 2001, 2002. Of course, nowadays, you know, people who use an iPad have these loaded in as a brush. So all of these old, you know, from this era, they've all been loaded into someone's iPad as a brush, so they can just, you know, they just make a copy of this. No effort. Here we have more Cherry Creek. This is 99, which is when things started to get kind of goofy, I think. If I remember, it was around the time when, like, you know, blue and brown chrome, New School, where it's like weird, bad proportion perspective pencils and paintbrushes and spray cans. Kind of the graffiti and skater kids started to get their apprenticeships finished up. And that form of art started to kind of influence tattooing more. So you can see the influence in this a little bit, especially that worm on the hook there with the little chrome. You just get that chrome dealy-hoo up. Look at that blue and brown. Blue on top, a little white, brown on the bottom with a little black. You got yourself some chrome. Anything. Chrome anything. Boy, was everything chrome. This is 2001. And again, you can see broken up lines now. Not these long, long lines that are hard to apply, but shorter, broken lines. Easier to apply on the body. That's Bill Emmert. And then we have Bonnie Seeley. Now, Bonnie Seeley, this is a new school era kind of piece of hers. I believe this is probably 2002, 2001. But her work, you can see this. Here's a good example of the chrome. It doesn't have the brown on the bottom, which is kind of sad to me. It should be brown and blue. But Bonnie Seeley's a great artist, and I have collections of flash from Bonnie Seeley from throughout the years. And you can see her increase in skill, like her abilities just to even draw get so much better over the years that she was making flash. That even in my old tattoo magazines and stuff, you can see it in her tattoos, but really owning the flash and having it chronologically ordered, you can see it. You can see her growing and like getting better at everything. More kanji. Oh, just the worst. Okay, so this is Bill Emmert again, but this is just the worst. This is, now we're getting out of like, these are things you do every day. This is the thing you do every day that you dread. Because it's all long, thin, straight lines with no margin for error, and you're putting them above somebody's butt, on their stretchy skin. They're leaned over in a chair like this. They're shaking, they're twitching. You're wrestling with them. Nightmare. Long, thin, single curve lines. Just a nightmare to tattoo that stuff. So yeah, that's kind of like the introductory level there. Now I'm going to get into a few other things. So it's stuff you would do every day. Stuff you would do all the time. People always pick this stuff. Really popular flash for clients to get. Let me set it aside here. Let me get it out of the way. Because there's so much more to tell you. I'll put it right here. The next thing would be flash that's really cool, that you would love to do, and nobody's gonna buy that off the fucking wall. And this is true throughout my entire career, and I'm sure it was before that as well for a long time. But you know, it's just really cool. Like, this would be fun to tattoo. Like, look at these things. Well, this is more recent, but look at this stuff. Like, that's cool, man. How fun would that be to tattoo? Big unicorn koi? My God, like, dude, I would love to do something like that. Now, convincing someone to sit down and get this cool thing, it's like, it's impossible. Here, there's a bunch more. I got a bunch of this stuff. Because my personal collection is made up of stuff that I thought was cool and I wanted to tattoo, and nobody would ever get tattooed. So here we have an evolution of those lower back pieces. This is an Aaron Kane set from 2004. And you can see the idea has evolved. The line work is broken. It's more made for tattooing, for the tattoo artist to have an easy time applying it with the same feeling and shapes as those tribal. There's no cultural appropriation here, really. There's no goofiness. It's just the right V shapes to be applied on the lower back. But nobody wants those. They're full color. It's going to take me 2 or 3 hours at least to put those on. They're not the simplified, everybody wants this banger of the other older sheets. Here's Dave Fox sheets. I mean, this one was a little easier because they're smaller. Sure, somebody might get that witch or that little pumpkin or something, but when you get into his, you know, bigger, cooler stuff, nobody's going to buy this off the wall. So a lot of shops, they're not going to hang this stuff on the wall. I mean, it's really cool, but nobody wants the big stuff on this sheet. They want that little sun. That little sun. They don't want that, the fun stuff. And so there's like a whole whole lot of flash where the tattoo artist loves it, really loves it, and nobody on earth is going to buy it off the wall. So when you're buying a set of flash, or making a set of flash, what a lot of artists would do is they would do, 4 or 5 sheets that were sellable. Bangers, crosses, eagles, butterflies, flowers, kanji, whatever. And then they would have 4 or 5 sheets of the stuff that we wanted to do, but that nobody would buy. And so the pork chop sheets, the ones with all the stuff everyone wanted, that's what would sell the set to us. And we would buy them. We would put all of them up in the hopes that somebody would get the cool ones. Another set of flash, or type of flash, is the stuff I really hope nobody picks off the wall. And there's a lot of these. Now, Mitch O'Connell is one of these artists that, this stuff looks really cool, right? That looks really cool. The nightmare of actually tattooing this stuff, actually sitting down with the stencil for this, and a lot of these guys didn't include line sheets. They just took forever, difficult to apply. He's less of an offender. Like, this stuff is cool. It's harder to tattoo than it looks like, but it's actually tattooable. You can do this on skin. Can be done. I'm going to pull up something notorious and horrible right here. And I'm going to kind of keep it further from the camera with my hand over. But Coop, not a tattoo artist, has no idea what's going to work on skin. You cannot color an entire lady in one solid shade of red and expect to make any sense on skin. Plus, the line work is bad. The planning is bad. The drawing is not a tattoo drawing. This man was not a tattoo artist. I remember spending every day hoping nobody would pick those, and somebody always would get one of those, one of his pieces. And I would be so upset because I would have to redraw the entire thing just to make it work as a tattoo. Now, instead of making my life easier, which is what flash is meant to do, so I don't have to draw 100 tribal lower back pieces. I don't have to redraw kanji. I don't have to draw 100 of the same butterfly. I have it. I can just put it on their skin and do it. This has made my work harder because now I have to redraw an entire devil lady in his style, which doesn't work in tattooing. The eyes and mouth and face are so small you can't tattoo it. And then we get into something like David Bolt, who was not a tattoo artist at the time he made these flash sheets. And it's really obvious. Every time someone would pick anything but these tiny little butterflies, anything else on this sheet, impossible to tattoo. The line work was too small. It was too crammed together. You can't make the shading work. It was just horrible to have somebody pick one of these off the wall. And they would, because they wanted this to be possible. And it's not. So it was like this guy was making extra work for me. But people liked it. So oftentimes the shop owner would buy this kind of stuff, put it up there, and then we would have to tattoo it. I don't know. Let's get into some other things. Oh, this is a Tattoodles. This is Adam Sky. Now, remember what I said about the Coop girls being untattooable. She's not great. This is kind of old. What year is this? This is 2002. He's a very good tattoo artist, and so the face isn't great, but it's big enough to be tattooed. The line sheet that came with this made it tattooable. So this sheet was not a waste of money. If you want a big girl, pinup girl in space, please don't pick the Coop off the wall. Please pick the Adam Sky off the wall. You're hoping they will pick the thing you can work with. And Tattoodles, I could go on a rant about, Tattoodles, Reed Street Forum, the Hyperspace, all these old forums, Ink Nation and stuff that we used to use to communicate, but I won't. Here's a kind of classic, 1996. This is Tattoo Brand. Tattoo Brand, I think, was sold through the Spalding and Rogers catalog in the back of the catalog. And so these sets, each sheet had a theme. Here we have the Grim Reaper doing his job. That's the theme. And on this sheet, I remember this hand and these two here were the ones that sold. People wanted those. And you don't have to redraw this stuff. The line work for this, the line sheet for this is really easy to work from. You could always talk people into getting more or cooler colors or something, but these were very, like, you could just tattoo this very easily. Saved you time. If someone just wants a generic standard Grim Reaper, they walk into the shop, they look around, they see this Grim Reaper, they're like, there's my guy. All you gotta do is take out the line sheet, you add your own color, shading, feeling to it, and you've got a finished tattoo. So these were sold and we bought them to save ourselves some time. Because not everybody wants a big, custom, original, never seen before Grim Reaper. Some people, and back then it was most people, didn't care. They wanted a Grim Reaper, so they went to a tattoo shop to see a Grim Reaper, and they would just look through all of the Grim Reapers and pick one. Every shop I ever worked in had some of my flash on the wall, so sometimes it was something I drew, but it was on the wall for them to pick from, so I didn't have to draw it again and again and again. And as a tattoo artist in a busy street shop, too, especially with lots of people just walking in and out, you really do want to save time on your drawing. You want to pre-draw as many things as you can, so that when people walk in and ask for something, you have it ready for them. You can say, this is the way I want to do it. Or I will do any of these. I like these. Pick something from there. And then you're saving your work time. You know, you're getting paid for the tattoo time. And you can move on to the next person without having to sit and draw for free at work for hours. Here, I'm just going to show you this because it's funny. This is another Cherry Creek. Oh, Rand. So Rand Johnson, he was a really nice guy to, I think, everyone he ever met. He was very encouraging to younger tattoo artists, and he drew all this, well, most of this Cherry Creek stuff. And I will never forget this sheet because I did this little cross. I don't like crosses. I never wanted to draw them. So it was nice that he had multiple sheets of them. We had them in the shop. I did this little cross with one rose on it thousands of times. But, you know, that's not why I'm showing you this sheet. I'm showing you this because Buddy Jesus here, happy, laughing, smiling Buddy Jesus. I tried so hard to get someone to get this tattoo back in the day, so many times. Every time somebody would want any Jesus-related stuff, I would be like, here's the best. There he is. That's the guy. That's your guy. I've never done it. I've never done it. I've been tattooing almost 30 years, and I've never done that tattoo. And honestly, if somebody wants Smiling Buddy, Rand Johnson, Cherry Creek Jesus from 96, get in touch with me. Email me. Resonant Eye. Email me at Gmail, because I will do this on you. I will make it inexpensive. I will make it happen because I really want to freaking do it. To this day. And I don't even like Jesus tattoos. I don't like religious tattoos. But this guy, oh yeah, 100%. You know, back into the cultural appropriation side of things, we've got a 1993 sheet. Look at this. 1993 official tattoo brand. These are obviously appropriated. These are obviously not drawn by someone from this culture. There's no artist name even listed on this page. These were taken from some reference book. I don't know if you can see, I've got a whole reference library of shelves behind me over there, but taken from a reference book, traced, colored in, slapped together, there's the sheet. And working in Seattle meant that a lot of people locally, especially like kind of like bikers and, you know, these sort of hippie ladies, they wanted this stuff. It was the 90s, so they got it. They could have it. They could pick it from the wall and get it. I do have a few sets made of this kind of stuff that are made and drawn by indigenous artists here in the Northwest that are not spiritually significant. They are drawn in a way that is not appropriative, but with the same stylistic feeling. That guy, seriously, I'll try to find a link to his stuff and like post it maybe in the comments or something on YouTube when I post this. But his work has made it possible for people who are not indigenous to put the art style, onto people who are not indigenous without doing any kind of sacred or really meaningful image on people who are outside of that culture, which I think is great. That's really what I like to see, is when it's You're taking the stylistic elements, and you're a member of that culture, and you know what matters and what doesn't to your culture. And you take the things that are shareable, and you make your flash, and you make your money. And he's making his money from it. I applaud him. He's good, and he's a good artist, really good artist, tattoo artist. More kanji, more David Bolt stuff nobody wanted to do. And then you get into the people who are like really good tattoo artists doing really good flash, right? Here's an Aaron Bell sheet. This motherfucker could draw a drag. Who are like really good tattoo artists doing really good flash, right? Here's an Aaron Bell sheet. This motherfucker could draw a drag. Been to Japan, worked with Japanese tattoo artists, learned how to draw it properly, and westernized it. How to draw it properly, and westernized it. In that style. A big one, yeah, if it's this big, I want to draw it. I want to find a way to draw it myself. I want it custom. It's a lot of work. But if it's small, if it's simple, I don't want to. More of that Northwest native tribal stuff. I'm just going to walk you really quickly through a progression with one artist too. I pulled these out in chronological order. So here we have Jen in 1996. As you can see, these were things that were sort of classic, popular thoughts. Roses, hearts, banners. Really nicely drawn banners. You know, just kind of the simple flash of the time. But then a year later, things have changed. All that sort of tribal stuff and some of the kind of new school things and what I like to call or these like laser lines of red or green around the outside of a tattoo, force field stuff, was coming in. So you can see her art style has changed. She's incorporating that kind of thing into her work. And this sheet, I will say, nobody ever liked anything on this sheet except for these little bits at the corners. It was popular stuff. It should have been popular, but again, a bigger thing on the wall, nobody wants it. By 98, we're coming into a trend where women are being discouraged by sort of manly dudes in the tattoo industry from getting the lower back piece, the big lower back pieces and stuff, and they're being sort of shamed for it. So you end up with this kind of fiddly doodle nonsense, fine line. You're seeing a resurgence of this stuff right now. We're seeing a trend of this coming back again. But here is the OG from 98. This is fine line 1998 style. And I know you can see the similarities between this and some of the diddly little stuff that's out there right now. 99, she's fully on board with it. That's all it is that fine line stuff, ornate fine line. And that's an evolution for her, but not in her tattoos. The tattoos this woman was doing were not like this at all. She was doing these really cool, very flowing, beautiful tattoos. She was not tattooing this stuff. This was the flash she sold. And you would adjust what you drew to sell as flash depending on market demands from clients. You would hear all of the trends that people were asking for when they came in, try to get ahead of them and draw an entire sheet of it, entire set. There's something like that. 98, yeah, lower back, 1998. And I tell you, if it's got that V shape, it's good. It's good. It's good stuff. I'm trying to bring it back. I think it should come back. It was good planning, good placement, good thought, that shape. Anyway, you know, back to stuff that you would do every day, but you would have to argue about. Now, this is my least favorite category of flash. And it usually came from younger tattoo artists who were trying to make extra money on the side by making flash, or from non-tattoo artists, like that David Bolt stuff. So this is stuff that you would have to argue with people about. Now, it's on the wall. Every sheet of flash is 11 by 14. 11 by 14 is the standardized size of a sheet of flash. You have racks, frames, and a whole setup in your entire shop for 11 by 14 sheets of horizontal flash. Keep this in mind as we're talking. I want you to look at this. I want you to realize that this Celtic piece that I just showed you is like 2 inches small, 2 inches tall, 2 inches around. It's very, very small. All of these pieces are crammed in so tight. You cannot do them this size. You just can't. Fine line or not, I don't give a fuck. You cannot do them this size. These need to be at least twice the size that they are on this piece of paper. So somebody sees this on the wall, oh, I really like that, and I have this much space that I want to fill, I want that. Now I'm having an argument with a client. I can't do it that small. Then why is it on the wall that size? Obviously you can, or it wouldn't be up there for sale that size. It becomes an argument. And now again, like just like I said with the stuff that's, you got to redraw it. Now I'm wasting half an hour to an hour of my shop time arguing with someone that I like and I don't want to argue with. It's making an adversarial relationship between us before I've even started to work with them. And I love my clients. I don't want to be adversarial with them. I want them to know what they're getting and like it and be happy. And like, we're supposed to be hanging out and having fun. It's a tattoo shop, right? We're supposed to be having like a good time. And no, this kind of stuff gave everybody a hard time, a bad time. Yeah, just trying to give them the best quality, knowing that this will not hold up and will turn into a smudge within a few years, even with fine line work. It spreads. You have to leave room in between every dot and line so that spread is accounted for. This kind of stuff, this is crazy. This is untattooable at this size. Doing it big, it looks great, but you don't have it on the wall big. So people will come in and argue and argue and argue. And you know, that is a repeated kind of thing where you've got like stuff that is drawn that is just too small. You can't tattoo that little detail in that guy's face that size. Oh my god, this, you know, there's three things on here I could do at size. Everything else on here, it's so tiny little bitty detail, like there's no tattooing that. No amount of fine line fiddling around is going to make that good. When the artist draws their ideas. Now, here's the thing. That's a whole nother thing. That's custom work. Custom work is you come in, you either tell me, here's my elbow, go at it, I like blue, do whatever you want. My favorite clients. Or you say, I want a chrysanthemum on my back. I like your art, just draw it. We make an appointment. My second favorite clients. But then you have people who want a laundry list. And for those people, I mean, really, do they want my custom work? Sometimes. Back then, when this stuff was out, no, they didn't. They wanted something familiar and comforting. This is another Erin Bell sheet. That's an argument sheet. The David Bolt stuff was always an argument. There were a lot of things like that were just arguments, start to finish. And of course, you know, you can talk about old school stuff all day long. Line sheets for very old school stuff. This stuff was designed in a different time. This is from the 40s. And this stuff, Sailor Jerry, or, you know, Coleman or anything, the old stuff that I collected, that stuff was drawn to be stenciled, tattooed, applied, and get the fuck out. Because those guys had a line of sailors, 70 deep, out the front door of their studio onto the street. And so their goal was to get every single one of those people tattooed in a day's work. And that was all they cared about. Yes, you know, apply it so that it looks good, but beyond that, they just wanted to like slap it on, get out. Slap it on, get out. Pick something, fuck off. Give me your money, get out. Sit down, sit still, get out. And yes, it's still a fun time. And yes, those guys, a lot of those guys love their tattoos, and all the artists loved what they were doing, but it was a different culture. This kind of flash that I've been showing you is from a time when custom art, artists drawing their own ideas and making their own flash, was becoming more common and more of the norm. And the old ways of just copy, 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 people don't want you to draw. It was hard. It was an argument a lot of times. In the beginning of my career, it was very hard to convince someone not to get the dragon on the wall, but to let you draw one of yourself, for yourself. It used to be really hard. I want that rose. Can I draw it and make it better? No, I want that one. So it was a struggle back then to get anyone to get anything custom. People didn't want the unique or whatever. They wanted something they had already seen that they were familiar with. And, you know, I love to draw, obviously. I like to draw my own work. I like to tattoo the things I've drawn. But I really still do enjoy somebody picking something off the wall and bringing it over to me. When you do this online, you pick some artwork online. It's kind of problematic for me because I know that I do not have that artist's permission to copy their drawing. If it's flash that's for sale online and I can buy it, I'm buying the rights to use it and make tattoos. I feel good about that. If it's a drawing that an artist, a tattoo artist especially, posted, I don't want to copy it because I don't have the reproduction rights to make a tattoo out of it. It's not, if it's not flash and I haven't bought it. So yeah, there's that. And nowadays with everyone picking everything from the internet, there's a lot of copyright violation, I feel like. I don't know if it's quite copyright violation because it's just a tattoo, it's not mass reproduction, but it doesn't, it has a feel bad for me. It feels bad for me. Whereas if I can buy the flash and then reproduce it, I would prefer to do that. So let me see if I got any good questions in the knows what will look good on the space provided. Well, yeah, I mean, that's our job. We're the professionals. We are supposed to do a good tattoo on you that looks right until you're 80. We want you to have good memories of us when you're 80 years old. Michael Sorrell, hey, yeah, I am doing well. Who else is in here? Everybody wants to join as a guest. I don't know how to do that. We do not normally tattoo what we want to, but a lot of us nowadays, we post the things we like to do, and those are the people who seek us out, so that's always good. So we do get to draw a lot of what we want to. Nowadays, it's almost everything is custom. We draw almost everything. History of trends. Oh, God. I could do a whole nother live on the history of tattoo trends. I'm thinking I might actually have to do that now after doing this little video about flash. Let's see what else is in here. Yeah, you guys that want to join the live, I'm sorry. Hey, Court! I wish I could have invited you. Damn. There's a lot of comments in here. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to cut out because I actually have to go help my partner build that gate out there. And then I have to finish, I'm unpacking, I'll show you something. I'm unpacking some gear and things, there's my dog, into that display case there. And I've got to like assemble that thing and move it, and like this studio shed where I do my art and I do all my stuff is a disaster. So like I'm in the middle of moving all my machining stuff, and like just I'm organizing in here, and it's crazy. So I have to cut out of the live and be done. I'm really glad, Mandy. Yeah, I miss you too. Jeannie, hi. But I will try to go live again in the next day or two and give you a little more, pictures, and maybe we'll go through some sketchbooks. I love these. I collect these like crazy. I love these things. I've got like a real lady boner for sketchbooks, or tattoo artist sketchbooks. So I'll try to come back in a day or two and do another little round of tattoo history from the 90s. Because that's what I have. I'm not old enough to be talking about much before that. But I'll go into what I can, and I'll answer any questions you guys can come up with. And I'll see you next time. Let me see. How do I end this? My God, what's going on? I don't even know how to end my live. Where do I do it? Man, you guys, I'm not good at this. I'm confused by this all the time. How? End? What do I do? Yes, I'm ending it. Okay, I figured it out.